Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Susie and my channel is Light Fragments Oracle. I'm so glad you are here, and I really mean that. You know, when I started my channel, I didn't really have any preconceived ideas other than the fact that I wanted to just be my authentic self. I feel we need that in the world today. I feel we need people to be kind, compassionate, loving, good listeners, good speakers, good. Authentic is a better word. And so that's the reason I started my channel, was so that I could get myself out to all of you to help you one way or another, whether it's through a card reading, whether it's through speaking my thoughts on any given day, tips and tricks, having fun with makeup, being theatrical, just loving life. That's the reason why I started my channel. Don't forget to go to part 8 of my story and type in cat or put a cat emoji in the comment section to win one of 3 pairs of glasses. So there will be 3 winners. Please go to that video so you can see the glasses. It's at the beginning, okay? Okay, I'm going to take you back in time to part 1. Remember I said I was around 5 years old and we were taking my older sister back to college, and I saw this. It wasn't an airplane. It was really low, just above the tree line in a V shape, and it was this bright, shiny, metallic, aluminum foil-like looking object. I was the only one in the car that saw it. What I didn't tell you was after that, when I would go to bed, I asked my mother to shut the shades. I don't know why, but I wanted her to shut the shades. But I would call my mother up, several times. And one of the things that I needed her to do was shut the shade, even though I was up on the 2nd floor. I wasn't sure why, except for that for some reason, I had a fear that something was going to show up in my window. Then fast forward to when I had my grand mal seizure and I saw all those lights. We can attribute it to being overdosed, but 3 weeks of seeing these lights, a whole week of missing time. I do have a sense that I went someplace else during that week. I find it interesting that the flashing lights were, if you think of a strobe light, okay, that's what it was like, but there were also little round white balls that rotated. I have a problem with flashing lights, even today. If I'm driving down the road and the light is flashing through the trees, it triggers me to jump. I have a light sensitivity in my eyes. That's the diagnosis. I can't watch strobe lights, or it can trigger a seizure. I have not had one since back then. You all know that I'm off that medication and have been off it for several years, but I was on it for 12 years. and the neurologist did cut down my medication. But the journey from that time was different. I was different. Everything was different. I tended to get depressed very easily. I was always a sensitive kid. I cried at the drop of a pin, drove my father crazy, I believe. But that something major happened. And then in 2002, I had a life-changing event that happened. And I'm not going to get into it because it doesn't matter. What you need to know is that I spent 2 months crying, morning, noon, and night. My daughter wanted to put me someplace. I wouldn't let her. And eventually that faded. And when that faded, a strange feeling of peace came over me. You know, you hear that the peace that surpasses all understanding. That's exactly what it was. It felt like there was a drought, and then there was a rain that didn't stop. And then the rain stopped, and the birds came out, and the sun came out, and the flowers bloomed. And the air smelt so clean. That's what it felt like. So I believe that during that time, I needed to go through some sort of cleansing, an inner cleansing, a grief cleansing. A lot of times we don't grieve because of the situation we're in. You know, we have to keep moving and we don't take the time, and we're strong, you know, we're strong people. We got to raise our kids. We've got to work that job. We've got to go back to living because this is what the world tells us we have to do. Suck it up, buttercup. Well, sometimes the suck it up, buttercup can make us emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually sick. And because I'm kind of stubborn in the fact that I wasn't going to leave my kids and go put myself in some sort of hospital, I was going to go through this. I was going to go through this come hell or high water. One day, I was driving down the road, crying, per usual, to head to one of my jobs, which was about 25 minutes from where I lived. And I was on a straightaway. And all of a sudden, I got a vision. Now, when I tell you that your angels, your guardian angels are with you, you need to believe me. Because I don't know how I got from point A to point B. But I was driving. Up here in the left corner of my head, a fuzzy image appeared. But I could still see the road, but I'm now paying attention to this. And it was a voice. And I could sort of see the image, and what it looked like was Jesus. Jesus being crucified. And the voice said, "Allow the golden arrow to enter your heart, but don't let it sit there. Allow it to pass through and come out the other side." And then poof, it went away. Now I'm on this mission. What is a golden arrow? What does the golden arrow mean? I'm Googling it. I'm trying to What does the golden arrow mean? 2008, 2009. So from 2002 to 2009, a lot happened. Around 2009, I was visiting a metaphysical store in our area, which doesn't exist anymore. And the woman was having a crystal sale in the back of the store. And so I'm meandering around, and I see this stone. And the stone is big. I'll insert a picture for you to view it. And I'm like, oh, this is so pretty. I mean, it wasn't straight. It was kind of at an angle, which made it even more interesting. But it had all these peaks to it and all these, it looked like a bunch of crystals that formed together to make one. So I'm like, well, this must be expensive. And I turned it over, and the name of the crystal was called the golden arrow. And I said, I've got to have this crystal. Interesting thing is I happened to be at this metaphysical shop because I was picking up something that was left there for me that day. So I needed to be there, and the timing was perfect. The golden arrow means the gold for being guided by your highest good, what is best for you, what is highest for you. And when you are struggling and you are in deep, deep pain and deep, deep sadness, don't push it away. Don't be afraid of it. But allow that golden arrow into your heart to pierce it, to feel it, to acknowledge it, to work through it. And as that arrow comes out the other side, it's going to go up. And so are you. Your essence, your energy, your spirit and soul is going to rise to a higher frequency that you never imagined could happen. But if it stops in there, and you don't allow it to go any further, you're not going to feel that peace that surpasses all understanding. And your divine blueprint and your divine purpose will be at a stalemate too. Because you have something to give. That's why you're here. So, after 2009, everything picked up for me. I joined a group on Facebook. That's where I offered to paint soul auras because I could see them. I knew I could see them. In 1977 when I painted my aura portrait, but I believe I could see them before that. I could see differently, but I thought everybody saw that way. Isn't that the way it is? If you feel a certain way, you think everybody feels that way. If you act a certain way, you think everybody acts that way. But that's not the case. This is why it's so important to take time to get to know who you are, meditate, observe. And these are all signs of awakening. And that happened around 2009. That cleansing that took place happened for a reason. And the people that were in my life, some of them that caused the pain, that feeling of not knowing where to turn, I had to turn to that which can't be seen. And that part is what gave me the strength to keep going. Grief never ends, but the intensity of it does. And coming out of that intensity is like a lotus flower, opening up and blossoming. It's like on a pond, the lilies, the pond lilies that open up. And so many things started happening during that time. And I would go out at night and after dinner and when it got dark, and I would just kind of stand out on my porch and ponder and pray and think, and I began to see orbs. Now, somebody asked me, are you sure they weren't fireflies? No, they weren't fireflies. Fireflies do this. These did this. Or they would come and stay and then leave. I saw yellow ones. I saw blue ones. I saw white ones. Sometimes I saw them higher. Sometimes I saw them lower. And then I began to see orbs in my house. I saw white ones. I saw gray ones. And that's when I knew that everything works in tandem. Everything works together. This polarity, good or bad, dark and light, that polarity pulls us one way or the other. But when we come to the center, all of it works in tandem. Very similar to those 3 weeks of lights that I saw circling. It's like the universe. Everything works in tandem. Some of it we like, some of it we don't like. Should we judge it? I guess that's up to you, but the less we judge, the more we observe, the more we see. That's the truth. Each individual can make their own decision based on their experience. So I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm here to tell you it's okay to. It's okay to observe. It's okay to step back. It's okay to watch. It's okay to detach. It's okay to take a deep breath. It's okay to cry. It's okay to fall to your knees. It's okay to raise your arms up. It's okay to talk out loud in nature. It's okay to ask for spiritual help. It's okay. And so I was able to see more beyond the veil after that, even though I could see it when I was a child, because I had mentioned to you that I would see these faces. But things were different now. I didn't have any fear. I wasn't afraid. The fear left me. Now, do I feel that there are forces that are not in our best interest? Yes, but I'm not focusing on that. That's not my focus. That's not my focus. My focus is the omnipotent power of the Creator, infinite intelligence, God, Source, universal love. And when we're in this, we get the ability to discern what is right for us and what isn't, what is good for us and what isn't. And this is going to vary just like every person on this planet varies. I feel that it's important to note that this journey of mine, I felt very much alone. Even if I had people that I could call, even if I had people that I could talk to on the phone or go visit, I felt very much alone. I didn't like the answers I got, number one, because they just weren't deep enough. I needed to be able to feel that. I needed to be able to soak that in. If that meant having to go through it, if that meant losing people in my life that didn't want to be around me, if that meant taking a step into unknown territory, I was going to do it because I had to know. But let me tell you, the outcome of this journey was what I learned. We are not alone, even when we're alone. We are not alone. We have a spiritual support system that is so huge, but it takes time to get to know them. And if we're always picking up the phone and calling somebody to get an, ask a question, get an answer, I need you to listen to me, I need you to listen to me, we're not going to feel that presence. The allowing of that presence to step forward takes a little bit of time. And it was in this time frame that I started to receive pennies from my first husband. How do I know? My first husband passed away in 1994. And when I was going through some trying times, with teenagers and everything else, and my relationship and everything else, I was distraught. And I had pulled into a gas station to get some gas in my car. And I opened my door to step out, and there was a penny. Because I was asking, please help me. You're up there now. You know what's going on. Please be with the kids. Please help me understand all of this. I picked the penny up, and the year was 1994, and I knew. What are the chances? And I would receive a penny whenever I was in a difficult situation moving forward. Not with that date, but I knew what those pennies meant. And then I said, if this is real, I need to start finding nickels. By golly, I started finding nickels. If this is real, like Doubting Thomas, if this is real, I need to start finding dimes. Started finding dimes. Okay. Can it get any more clear than that? And then there was the day when I was sitting out on my porch. God, please, I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like I don't have anybody to understand me. And that's when the feather came down, the white feather. There were so many signs like this. So many. And I started taking classes and I started getting certified, Reiki 1 and 2, Reiki Master, sound therapy, tuning fork practitioner, angel card reader, although I was reading cards before I took the class. And I have all my certificates in a folder. I'm not going to go through them all, but I took a lot of classes. I realized the day that my husband called me over to the window where my red Jeep was parked, he said, Susie, you got to come see this. This is unfreaking believable. There were these massively large dragonflies about this big hovering over my car. There were hundreds of them hovering, not moving, just hovering. It was like they were sealing my vehicle. And I'm like, why? Why are they doing this? Is it because the Jeep was red? He's like, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, even when we're outside, we might see 4 or 5 of them around, but not hundreds of these massively large dragonflies. And then I went to get a reading at the same metaphysical shop. And the reader flipped 2 cards for me. That was it. She had shuffled the decks and was waiting for the next person to come. Had my ticket. I sat down. She flipped the first card and she said, you are a dragonfly. You can see 360 degrees. You know where to fly. You know what to observe. And she went into detail about that. And you are transforming. The second card she flipped was the white buffalo Indian priestess. And she said, you're a psychic. You are intuitive. You are on a great journey. And she had a pad of paper and she wrote it all down, and I still have it today. Every now and then I reflect back on it. That was the whole reason for all of it. I knew that I was going to be up against traditional ways, which I still love, but my view is bigger. And I embrace that. It's a gift. And if you are feeling like you're being called to embrace the bigger picture, there's nothing wrong with that. You can keep your traditional ways if they resonate with you. You can discard what isn't serving you anymore, and you can keep what is serving you. See, we're told that we can't do any of this. We're told we can't evolve. Because once we start doing that, now we're viewed as a threat. And there's nothing threatening about it. Who tells the birds they can perch or can't perch in a tree? Who tells the weeds that they can or can't grow? Who tells the trees that they can't sway in the wind? So, my friends, I have found myself here with all of you. And I wanted to tell you one more thing. In 2019, I went to counseling because I had bits and pieces inside of me that needed to be released. And I needed a physical being to hear me. And that person happened upon my path. And I knew when I started cleaning her home. There was no question about it. It was like, I think I might need to talk to you. Opened her book. Okay, I've got this date, this date. When do you want to start? And then not only that, but I wasn't paying $125 an hour. It was by donation. You want to talk about perfect freaking timing. And so I started once a week, and then it went to once every 2 weeks, and I learned a lot about myself. She was tough on me. She wasn't sitting there and saying, oh, it's okay, Susie. It's okay. Oh, she was tough on me. And I wanted it. I was ready for it. When you're not ready, you're not going to listen. But when you're ready, you're going to listen. I think I did this for about 4 or 5 months. And I really needed that. I really needed that. And then last fall, this same person, I had a QHHT session with. Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy Technique. I think I said that right. And it was very long, and it was very intense. And we audio taped it. And I was taken through hypnosis back in time to the present. And I saw something that I knew. I knew that this craft or this these lights and wanting the shade closed, I knew that there was a cosmic origin for all of it. And I also went and made appointments to lay down on the crystal bed. And during one of these appointments, I saw my present husband. And this is how it went. This was not my imagination because I was in a deep state. Through the wall came a being. It looked like, kind of like the aliens that you see today. You know, you see all over the place. A being came in. Very short. I'm short. This being was a little bit shorter than me and took my hand. And as soon as this being took my hand, I floated out of my body through the wall. And I was in this craft. And a very tall being with a robe came to talk to me and said, "Are you afraid to be here?" And I said, "No, not at all." And he pointed out the window, which was curved, and I could see darkness, and I could see stars, and I could see, it was limitless. And he pointed to this star, which was very bright, way in the distance. And he said, "That is your home. That is where you came from." And I looked at him and I said, how do you know? And he said, because I know. I know. And you came to this planet that you're on right now for a reason. And as time unfolds, you will understand it more fully. And I looked at him and he looked at me. And then I heard a loud voice to my right. Hey, Susie! And I looked and these doors were opening at the same time I heard this. And there was a young kid, probably 6 or 7 years old. And I looked down and I was about 6 or 7 years old. I'm like, I thought I was the age that I was at having the experience. And he's like, hey, Susie. And I telepathically, intuitively knew that 6 or 7 year old kid, well, I was probably a little older because that's the way it is. I don't know. Maybe there's no time. Was my present husband now. Not curly, but like wavy, unkempt hair, big blue eyes. I knew that I met that person before I came to this planet. And then the being said to me, because I wanted to go over to that person, and the being said to me, it's time to go back now. And that little, whatever that being was, took my hand. We turned around. I'm back through the wall. I'm back in my body. And when I woke up, I had been crying. I know now that what we experience is so much bigger, so much greater. Should I say that was a dream? It felt so real. And while I was there, I knew it to be true. I knew it to be true. And so, my friends, why am I telling my story? Well, some of you are going to be able to relate to much of it. And I didn't even get a chance to tell you all of it. But I told you the main parts. Have faith. Have hope. Above all else, do no harm. Love every chance you get. Yes, you're going to be human at times. And that's okay. That's okay. Because you're here to experience. And you have your own journey. And I feel very strongly when I say that you are loved, even though you can't feel it, even though you can't see it. You are loved beyond measure. And it is the love that needs to be the focus. That's where we, as a universe, as a globe, has lost focus. How can we love somebody that hurts us? How can we love someone that's so different from us? Well, we don't have to agree with them. We can let them be. And if we believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are protected by something much greater than ourselves, we will be. It doesn't necessarily mean that the path is going to be easy. All right, my friends, I love you. Be well, be blessed, be beautiful, because you are, because there is nobody else on the planet like you. And you know I mean that. Okay? You know I love ya. Mwah! Mwah! Bye-bye.